The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams, starring Dave Lane as The Book with Pete McDonald and Aaron Don Juan.
This is the story of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, perhaps the most remarkable, certainly the most successful book ever to come out of the great publishing corporations of Ursa Minor. More popular than the Celestial Home Care Omnibus, better selling than 53 More Things to Do in Zero Gravity, and more controversial than Oolong Kaloofa's trilogy of philosophical blockbusters, Where God Went Wrong, some more of God's greatest mistakes, and Who is this God person anyway? And in many of the more relaxed civilizations of the outer eastern rim of the galaxy, The Hitchhiker's Guide has already supplanted the great Encyclopaedia Galactica as a standard repository of all knowledge and wisdom. Because although it has many omissions, contains much that is apocryphal, or at least wildly inaccurate, it scores over the older, more pedestrian work in two important ways. First, it is slightly cheaper, and second, it has the words "Don't Panic" inscribed in large friendly letters on the cover. To tell the story of the book, it's best to tell the story of some of the minds behind it. A human from the planet Earth was one of them, although as our story opens, he no more knows his destiny than a tea leaf knows the history of East India Company. His name is Arthur Dent. He is a 6-foot-tall ape descendant and someone is trying to drive a bypass through his home.
Come off it, Mr. Dent. You can't win, you know. There's no point lying down in the path of progress.
I've gone off the idea of progress. It's overrated.
But you must realise you can't lie down in front of this bulldozer indefinitely.
I'm game. We'll see who rusts first.
I'm afraid you're going to have to accept it. This bypass has got to be built, and it is going to be built. There's nothing you can say
Why
or do.
has it got to be built?
What do you mean, why has it got to be built? It's a bypass. You've got to build bypasses.
Well, didn't anyone consider the alternatives?
There aren't any alternatives. You are quite entitled to make any suggestions or protests in the appropriate time.
Appropriate time?
Yes.
The first I heard about this was when a workman arrived at the door yesterday. I asked him if he'd come to clean the windows, and he told me he'd come to demolish my house. Well, he didn't tell me that straight away, of course. Oh no. First he wiped a couple of windows and charged me a £5, then he told me.
But Mr. Dent, the plans have been in the planning office for the last 9 months.
Yes, I went to find them yesterday. You hadn't exactly gone out of your way to draw much attention to them, had you? I mean, I don't know, you could have told somebody or something.
The plans were on display.
Oh, and how many members of the general public are in the habit of casually dropping into the local planning office of an evening? It's not exactly a noted social venue, is it? And even if you had popped in on the off chance that some raving bureaucrat wanted to knock your home down, the plans weren't immediately obvious to the eye, were they?
That depends where you were looking.
I eventually had to go down to the cellar.
That's the display department.
With a torch.
The lights had probably gone.
So had the stairs.
You found the notice, didn't you?
Yes, it was on display in the bottom of a locked filing cabinet stuck in a disused lavatory with a sign on the door saying, "Beware of the leopard." Have you ever thought of going into advertising?
It's not a particularly nice house anyway.
I happen rather to like it.
Mr. Dent!
Yes, hello.
Have you any idea how much damage this bulldozer would suffer if I let it roll straight over you?
How much?
None at all.
By a strange coincidence, none at all, is exactly how much suspicion the ape descendant Arthur Dent had that one of his closest friends was not descended from an ape, but was, in fact, from a small planet somewhere in the vicinity of Betelgeuse. Arthur Dent's failure to suspect this reflects the care in which his friend blended himself into human society after a fairly shaky start. When he first arrived 15 years ago, the minimal research he had done had suggested to him that the name Ford Prefect would be nicely inconspicuous. He will enter our story in 35 seconds and say, "Hello, Arthur." The ape descendant will greet him in return, but in deference to a million years of evolution, he will not attempt to pick fleas off him. Earthmen are not proud of their ancestors, and never invite them round to dinner.
Hello, Arthur.
Ford, hi, how are you?
Fine, look. Are you busy?
Well, I've just got this bulldozer to lie in front of, but otherwise, no, not especially.
There's a pub down the road. Let's have a drink and we can talk.
Ford, can't you see what's going on here?
Mr. Dent, we're waiting.
That man wants to knock down my home.
Well, he can do it whilst you're away, can't he?
But I don't want him to.
We're just asking to wait till you get back.
Ford!
Arthur, will you please just listen to me? I'm not fooling. I got to tell you the most important thing you've ever heard. I got to tell you now, and I got to tell you in that pub there.
Why in the pub?
Because you're going to need a very stiff drink. Now just trust me.
Alright. I'll see what I can do. This had better be good, Ford. Excuse me, Mr. Prosser?
Yes, Mr. Dent. Have you come to your senses yet?
Can we just, for the moment, assume that I haven't?
Well?
And I'm going to be staying put here until you all go away.
So
you're going to be standing around all day doing nothing?
Could be.
Well, if you're already resigned to standing around all day doing nothing, you don't actually need me here for the whole time, do you?
No. Not as such.
So if you could just take it as read that I'm still here, I could just nip off down the pub for half an hour. How does that sound?
That sounds very reasonable, I think, Mr. Dent. I'm sure we don't need you here the whole time. We can just hold our end of the confrontation.
And of course, if you want to nip off for a little bit later on, I can always cover for you in return.
Oh, yes, thank you. That's very kind of you, sir. Thank you.
And, of course, it goes without saying that you're not going to try and knock my house down whilst I'm away.
Good Lord, no, Mr. Dent.
Do you think we can trust him, Ford?
Myself, I trust him to the end of the earth.
Yes, but how far's that?
About 10 minutes away. Come on, I need a drink.
By drink, for Prefect meant alcohol. The Encyclopaedia Galactica describes alcohol as a colourless, volatile liquid formed by the fermentation of sugars, and also notes its intoxicating effect on certain carbon-based life forms. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy also mentions alcohol. It says that the best drink in existence is a pangalactic gargle blaster, the effect of which is like having your brain smashed out by a slice of lemon wrapped around a large gold brick. The guide also tells you on which planets the best pangalactic gargle blasters are mixed, how much you can expect to pay for one, and what voluntary organisations exist to help you rehabilitate.
6 pints of bitter, and quickly please. The world's about to end.
Oh yes, sir. Nice weather for it. Going to watch the match this afternoon?
No point.
Foregone conclusion, you reckon, sir? Arsenal without a chance?
No, it's just that the world's going to end.
Ah yes, you said. Lucky escape for Arsenal if it did.
No, not really.
There you are, sir. 6 pints.
Keep the change.
What? Give me 50? Thank you, sir.
You've got 10 minutes left to spend it.
Ford, will you please explain to me what the hell is going on?
Drink up, Arthur. You've got 3 pints to get through.
3? At lunchtime?
Time is an illusion. Lunchtime doubly so.
That's very deep. You should send that into the Reader's Digest. They've got a page for people like you know.
Drink up.
Why 3 pints?
Muscle relaxants. You'll need it.
Has the world always been like this? And I've just been too caught up in myself to even notice.
Alright, let me try to explain. How long have we known each other, Arthur?
5 years, maybe 6. Most of it seemed to make some kind of sense at the time.
Alright, how would you react if I told you that I wasn't from Guildford after all, but from a small planet somewhere in the vicinity of Beetlejuice?
I don't know. Why, do you think it's the sort of thing you're likely to say?
Drink up. The world's about to end.
This must be a Thursday. I never could get the hang of Thursdays.
On this particular Thursday, something was moving through the ionosphere miles above the surface of the planet, but few people on the surface of the planet were aware of it. One of the 6,000 million people who hadn't glanced into the ionosphere recently was Lord Cyril Fitzmilton, who was, at that moment, standing in front of Arthur Dent's house in Cottington. Many of those listening to his speech would probably have experienced great satisfaction to know that in 4 minutes' time it would evaporate into a whiff of hydrogen, ozone and carbon monoxide. However, when the moment came, they would hardly notice, because they would be too busy evaporating themselves.
I've been asked to come here to say a few words to mark the beginning of the work on the very splendid and worthwhile new Benningford bypass. And I must say immediately what a great honour and a great privilege I think it must be for you, the people of Cottington, to have this gleaming new motorway going through your cruddy little village. Sorry, your little country village of Cruddy Cottington. I know how proud you must feel at this moment to know that your obscure and unsung hamlet will now arise, reborn as the very splendid and worthwhile Cottington Service Station, providing welcome refreshment and sanitary relief for every weary traveller on his way.
Why don't you push off your cat-faced old fart?
And for myself, it gives me great pleasure to take this bottle of very splendid and worthwhile champagne and break it against the noble prow of this very splendid and worthwhile yellow bulldozer.
What was that?
Don't worry, they haven't started yet.
Good.
It's probably just a house being knocked down.
What?
It hardly makes any difference at this stage.
Oh my God, it is! What are they doing? We had an agreement!
Let them have their fun.
Damn you and your fairy stories, Ford! They're smashing up my home! Stop, you half-witted vandals! You really
Arthur,
stop.
come back! It's pointless. Hell, I better go after him. Barman, quickly. Can I just have 4 packets of peanuts, please?
Certainly, sir. There you are. £2, please.
Keep the change.
Are you serious? I mean, do you really think the world's going to end this afternoon?
Yes. Just over 1 minute and 35 seconds.
Well, isn't there anything we can do?
No, nothing.
I mean, I always thought meant to lie down and put a paper bag over her head or something.
If you like, yes.
Would that help?
No. Excuse me, I got to find my friend.
Very well then. Last orders, please.
You pinstripe barbarians! I'm gonna sue the council for every penny it's got! I'm gonna have you hung, and then drawn, and quartered, and then I'm gonna chop you up into little bits until you've had enough!
Arthur, don't bother. There isn't time. There's only 10 seconds left.
And then when I've got the little bits, I'm gonna put them into a pile, and I'm gonna jump on them! I'm gonna jump and keep jumping until... What the hell is that?
Arthur, quick! Over here!
But what the hell is it?
It's a fleet of flying saucers. What do you think it is?
A fleet of what?
Just that. It's a Vogon constructor fleet.
A what?
A Vogon constructor fleet. I picked up news of their arrival a few hours ago on my sub-ether radio.
Ford, I don't think I can handle much more of this. I'm just gonna go and have a little lie down for a minute.
No, just stay here, keep calm, and just take hold of this rope.
People on Earth, your attention please. This is prosthetic Vogon gels of the Galactic Aerospace Planets Council. As you no doubt will be aware, the plans for the development of the outlying regions of the western spiral arm of the galaxy require the building of a hyperspace express route through your star system. Regrettably, your planet is one of those scheduled for demolition. The process will take slightly less than 2 of your Earth minutes. Thank you. There's no point acting all surprised about it. All the planet jobs and demolition orders have been on display by the local planning department half a century, 50 of your Earth years, so you have plenty of time to list any vital complaints. It's too late to start making a fuss about it now. What do you mean you've never been to Alpha Centauri? Oh, for heaven's sake, mankind, it's only 4 light years away, you know. I'm sorry, if you can't be willing to take an interest in local affairs, then that's your own regard. And in charge of the demolition bees! Goddamn dumb. I'm the victim of the planets. I have no sympathy at all.
In that episode of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Dave Lane starred as the Book, Pete McDonald was Arthur Dent, and Aaron Don Juan Ford Prefect. Steve Priddon was Prosser and Lord Cyril Fitzmilton, and Lee Burgess starred as the Vogon Captain and the Barman. The programme was written by Douglas Adams and was produced by the entire group with the assistance of a small furry creature from the Crab Nebula.